Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Nitro Racing League. Here on the channel we have actually two races of the Nitro Racing League on NASCAR Heat 5 coming this week, and I will explain why right now. As you can see, we're getting underway here for race number 2 of the season at Phoenix. So as you guys know, the Nitro Racing League runs on Xbox. Last weekend the servers were down, so we had to actually run 2 races in 2 days on NASCAR Heat 5 this week. So you will see race number 2 probably in a couple days time, and then we also have Nitro iRacing coming this week as well, with a really good race at the same track that we're at right now at Phoenix Raceway. So very excited to show you guys this whole week of Nitro Racing League here on the channel. But we come through here into Phoenix, and it was a very deja vu vibes going on very early on. When we came to the championship race last season, I qualified at the back. So now coming into this race, though, we qualified at the back again. But the stage 1 here in Phoenix is 45 laps, so it ends when we hit lap 46. Stage 2 should end when we hit lap 91, and then the race actually ends when we hit lap 156. It's not 312 laps, we just add extra laps for potential overtime purposes here. Now, as we were 3 wide with the Hendrick Motorsports duo of Tyler, and then one of the rookies in the league this season of Libert here, as we go 3 wide into turns 3. A little bit of contact between myself and the 48, then I was getting hit from behind a little bit. It was just a lot of chaos going on here in the opening laps now, but we would get past Tyler, who is definitely struggling in this race now as we go down into turns 1. Though a little bit of contact there with the 88. I don't know if he just saw me coming up the inside, so we just kind of came together there, and unfortunately he got moved up the track, but we move up to P12, and we were just continuing on our way now onto the outside of the number 10 of Matt Chaffee here on lap 9. So we were up towards P11, trying to claw our way towards that top 10 position, who is currently with Eddie there in P10 as we came through at turns 4. So right now it was the 95 of Connor leading. You see Matt O'Brien, though, make a bit of a mistake there in the turns 3 on lap 11. He actually bounces off the wall, hits me, follows even further back. Matt struggled a lot this race too. He just couldn't find what he needed, and you're actually going to see that translate over into the iRacing side of things later this week, as well as he really struggled at Phoenix now as we were on the outside of Eddie here down this front straightaway towards turns 1, just continuing to move our way forwards. On the outside there of Eddie, just trying to get going now as the 41 has a bit of a moment, so we are actually out of turns 2, going to get to the outside of him along with Eddie. We were 3 wide here down the back straightaway, and you're going to see Eddie on my inside quite a bit in this race, because right here we were having a little bit of a side-by-side battle that carried over to lap 17 down towards turns 1, trying to get up towards that top 5. As you guys know, in Nitro, only the top 5 in stage 1 and 2 get stage points now as we come through out of turns 2, still battling it out with Eddie, and this would continue on now towards the end of lap 17. He clears me on the exit of the corner. I do a bit of a crossover now. We slide up the inside as we cut all the way down to that inside wall down towards turns 1 as we try to continue to complete this pass on Eddie. He didn't want to give up the spot. I didn't want to give up now as I'm trying to get on the move as well, just like he is. So we would continue once again side by side, but finally when we came to lap 19 through the dog leg, we would be able to get clear by cutting down the course enough and get clear of Eddie and move our way forwards. Now as we came through though to lap 23, pit stops are starting to get underway. The first one would be Bryce, our teammate there in the 18 car. He came to the pit lane, and then we were going to follow through very shortly after. Now on lap 26, the 95 of Connor, he comes into the pit lane. I come in, as well as Eddie, who gets a way better entrance than I do, actually beats me into the entrance of the pit lane. Made a 15.8 second pit stop there with the 4 tires, 2 cans of fuel. Eddie was actually able to get in front of me still, so we were going to exit behind him here and just wait for this to cycle out. Now as Bryce pitting a little bit earlier than us really hurt him in the long run towards the end of this stage, because now on lap 37 when we were starting to cycle through, Eddie blew by him. I would get by him as well here in the closing laps of the stage. So we were up now to P5 here in stage points finally in stage 1. Now as Eddie makes a big mistake there out of turns 4, I clipped the outside wall even on the exit of the corner, but we did not hit it nearly as severe as he did. So now we're side by side as we sail it off into turns 1, and now is once again this side by side battle that we had just had moments ago earlier in stage 1 in now the closing laps of this first stage as Connor continues to lead the way in that 95. So looking for P4, but Eddie, of course, very tough to fight against now as we come through out of turns 2. Now approaching the final lap of stage 1 now. Connor was leading the way out of turns 4 to take the white flag in this first stage, and now I make a bit of a mistake right there, go way too wide. That allows Eddie to get clear as we exit turns 4, but we still have enough of a run to get back to his right rear quarter panel and get alongside him as we go down into turns 1 on this final lap. Now as he sails it off in deep, and so did I, and unfortunately we came together there, and now as we exit turns 2, Eddie gets clear. I was was a little bit annoyed right there as we went down this back straightaway. I actually tried to get to his back bumper here, but I realized I wasn't close enough as we go down into turns 3. So we would have to just settle for P5 as Connor wins the stage, and we get 1 stage point here to start this race in Phoenix. So overall, a pretty decent first stage. So we would, of course, come into the pit lane, take 2 cans of fuel, as well as 4 fresh tires, and get ourselves ready to go back green here for the start of stage 2. I chose the top for the restart, or for the choose cone for the restart, and so did the leader of Connor. So all of us here on the top got a really good run. And what was good about this right here, with all of us on Toyota being in the same Xbox party, we were in control of the restart, and we were able to actually kind of count things down at times. Now though, you see us 3 wide right there, we kind of get pinched up towards the wall. Nothing really Andrew could do, or the 95, they were just close together, and we didn't have a lot of room, so I end up losing the ground right there. But now on the outside of the 14 of one of the other rookies in the series this season of Mahu, as we come through down this front straight, though back to the outside of the 95 of Connor. And as we went down into turn 3 on lap 52, we were still side by side with Connor, but now on the exit of the corner, we would be able to clear him now, as this second lane is really quite the advantage when you're racing in traffic now here in Phoenix. So that was always where I wanted to be. I never wanted to be right on the bottom. I wanted to be right about where I am right now. But Eddie and Andrew, they were going at it now as we came to the lap 56. They made a little bit of contact here and there, and they were just kind of swapping back and forth between the lead for a few laps. Right here, as you see now, Eddie crosses Andrew down to the dogleg, and actually surprisingly clears Andrew down towards turns 1. I don't know if Andrew just lifted and let him have it, but either way, Eddie went back to the lead. But once again, like I said, they just kept on swapping back and forth here for a few laps, and I was loving it here, allowing myself to stay right in the mix. But Andrew eventually would get the lead and open up a bit of a gap, and when I say a bit of a gap, it was like 2 car lengths. But then now he actually comes into the pit lane to start this pit cycle for the leaders now on lap 71. So myself and Eddie would follow through the very next lap. We didn't want to lose too much time to Andrew, so we come in here to the pit lane very clean, just behind that 94 of Eddie into the pit lane. 2 cans of fuel once again, 4 fresh tires. This time we beat Eddie out of the pit box, so we should cycle through to hopefully second once this pit cycle completes. But the problem was now, as we were closing in towards the end of the second stage, we actually had a really good gap right now to Eddie. We were just right behind Andrew. So I originally thought this was going to be the battle for the stage win, but we had a few drivers trying to make it on fuel and tires to the end of the stage. One of those drivers specifically, the 48 of Tyler, who was struggling all race. This was pretty much his only hope to get any stage points, just the way his race was going. So he had to try something, and he was the only one left that was trying to make this fuel and tire strategy work to the end of stage 2. We were already on the lead lap, so it really didn't affect us whatsoever here. We're just going to lose 1 point maybe. So as we came through now to the final lap of stage 2, Tyler sure enough leading the way into turn 3 as we're now at the inside of Andrew Wisdom down this back straightaway, trying to at least take a shot at getting second place here in stage 2. But as we go down into the corner, just couldn't quite make it happen right there as you're on that bottom now, as I could have probably driven in a lot harder right there, but I just didn't see the risk paying off now. So we cross the line for P3 as Andrew gets second, and Tyler ends up winning stage 2, picking up a playoff point. Now as we came through though for the choose cone, I went to the top, so we were going to be on the front row to start this third and final stage after making another 4-tire pit stop, filling the fuel can, or the fuel tank up now as we would get back underway. It wasn't the greatest restart in the world for myself, but I felt like we did a pretty good job right there. I definitely think I've gotten a lot better at restarting in the kind of last few months. Once I kind of learned it on iRacing, I credit iRacing to kind of getting my restarts better and just everything overall in terms of racing games. So like I said, I feel like I'm better at them. Definitely still got some improvements to make now as we go down into turn 3. Keep in mind, this race ends now on lap 156. Once we hit 156, the race comes to an end as we're going to go 3 wide down the front straight away there to cross the line and complete this first and opening lap of stage 3. There was a bit of a lag right there from the 48. Then Andrew Wisdom and myself come together into the corner right there, and now as we come through out of turns 2, he is going to get clear, and now actually getting to the outside wall briefly now is the 20 of Jonathan, who surprisingly hasn't been in the mix much here today. It was up my inside, but now on lap 97 we were in this side-by-side battle once again as Mahu in the 14 forced it 3 wide, and that worked perfectly to my advantage, and that allowed me to get clear of the 20 and clear of the 14 as we went down into turns 1 after getting through that dog leg now. So we were once again trying to run down Andrew Wisdom here in that 9 car. He won this race and the championship last season. Once again, it felt just like last season. We started at the back, and towards the end of the race, we're now battling Andrew Wisdom for the victory. But now on lap 100, we had the 14 actually just right in our rear view mirror. He was putting on some pressure now as we cross the line for the final 55 laps or so of this race here in Phoenix. As I'm doing everything I can here to stick with Andrew as we go down into turns when he goes a little bit wide right there. And I felt like we were so even, and that was really the problem, is just when you're so even compared to someone, you can't really do anything about it. So you just kind of have to hope they make a mistake. And well, I ended up being the one to make the mistake now as we come through on lap 102. You saw me hit the outside wall. The 14 actually gets into my bumper into turn 3, and then he looks up the inside now as we come through out of turns 4. So now we were side by side with him. Of course, I'm not going to give up second place, so I fought him as hard as I could. We continue to lap 105, still side by side with the 14. That, unfortunately, us battling side by side loses you so much time to the cars ahead and to the cars behind. Now, 4th place of Eddie and 5th place of Jonathan were right in the mix at this point, but out of turns 2 on lap 105, now we get a good run out of the corner, and we get back clear of that 14 of Mahu and try to once again run down Andrew Wisdom. But with our cars being so even, I knew it was going to be very tough to really gain any ground on him, and sure enough, 119 now, and we hadn't really lost anything, but we hadn't gained anything either. So the pit cycle, though, was coming up pretty shortly here. Once again, we have to make one more pit stop to make it to the end of this race here in Phoenix. It's been a very, very calm race so far now, so I was hoping that it was going to stay calm to the end, because if we can't win, I could at least get a 2nd or 3rd place finish out of it, and I'd be very satisfied with that. So now the tire icon has come on a little bit later in the run, so we would all now get into the pit lane here, and well, it was a very obvious call. 2 cans of fuel, 4 tires. I make a very slight adjustments with the grill tape. I didn't want to touch the wedge too much because I'd already gotten the quote-unquote pit setup that we needed in the car, but unfortunately we have a 16.2 second pit stop, and that allowed Eddie to get in front of me. So I decided, you know what, Eddie, I just told him to go after Andrew. I'm not even going to try and fight you. Let's see if we can run him down together, and I'll let you go and put the attack to him now as we came through, passing the number 20 of Jonathan, and just waiting once again for this cycle to complete itself. But once the cycle runs through, we will be in P3, right behind 2nd place of Eddie, who tries to run down that 9 of Andrew Wisdom in the closing laps of this race. Now on lap 132, just over 20 laps to go, we are now getting up a little bit further through the field now as everything had cycled out, but Mahu, he had pitted quite a bit earlier than everybody, so he was actually fighting for position straight up now as we come through at a turn 2, but he was hanging on with those older tires at this point. So Eddie would actually get past the number 14 car. Now I was starting to put a little bit of pressure on the back of the rookie of Mahu right there, as Andrew Wisdom still has that gap, and he wasn't pulling away. He wasn't just driving away from anyone, but we couldn't close in on him. That was the problem now, as we were just hoping something was going to happen, him make a mistake. He was making mistakes here and there. We saw him hit the wall a couple times, but it was very hard to capitalize on it now as we would come through now up the inside of the 14 of Mahu down towards turns 1. He would actually be very generous right here. He actually just said, you know what, go have the spot. You're going to see him just kind of pulled out right there out of turns 2, so we get clear of him and move up into P3, and now try to run down 2nd place potentially here of Eddie. And now lap traffic would actually start to become a bit of a factor now late in this race, closing in towards the final 10 laps of this race here in Phoenix. Eddie makes a bit of a mistake right there. He made a couple of mistakes in one lap, and that really allowed myself to close up on him. So now we were putting the pressure on him for 2nd place. I knew there was no chance of running down Andrew, so we were just kind of chilling here in P3, going for 2nd place at this point. And now actually Eddie got a little bit upset with a lap car being in front of him, and that would cause actually Matt O'Brien to crash, because Eddie told Matt to actually relay the information through Discord to the driver of the 22 car to get out of the way, and as he was doing that, he wrecked his car as he had only one hand on the wheel or the controller or whatever he was using, and he crashed the car. So that was very unfortunate right there. Just a poor situation overall. And now I was trying to fight up the inside, but out of turns 4, you can see the one time I get the chance to get up the inside of Eddie, the back end kicks out, and I had absolutely nothing on the exit of the corner. So now we were just holding on to P3 really at this point, hoping that a caution was going to come out, to be honest with you guys. Now is in the very late laps of this race, we start actually reeling in the 9 car a little bit, but I'm also guessing he was not pushing whatsoever, because there was absolutely no reason for Andrew Wisdom to push at this point here as we go down into turns 1, as I'm just pushing to get 2nd place. I knew that the 9 car was too far out, so I'm just doing everything I can to get past Eddie there in that 94 car as we exit turns 2. He was close to the wall, not close enough unfortunately here, but as we come through to 2 laps to go now, Andrew Wisdom leading the way out of turns 4 to take the white flag here in Phoenix for race number 2 on on the season now in the Daytona 500. Didn't quite go his way. He had a strong finish, though, of second place, I believe it was, or maybe P3 or something like that. So it's already still a good season start for Andrew Wisdom, and it's about to get even better as he leads the way down this back straightaway now as we're close to Eddie, but it's not going to be close enough as we go down towards turn 3 for the final time. Now as I sail it off into the corner a little bit, but not going to be close enough to get into the back of the 94 as we try to look up the inside. Not enough once again. Andrew Wisdom wins in Phoenix. We come through to cross the line to finish here in P3. Overall, a very clean race. I don't think, or don't recall having a single incident-caused caution. It was all just stage cautions in this race. Now, I'm going to show you guys the points after Phoenix. So, Andrew Wisdom, of course, locked in along with Matt on wins. We are actually P3 in the standings, 23 behind. So a solid start now as we had a terrible Daytona 500 finish. So that makes me very happy to see we're actually up to P3 in the points. So that's where we stand so far, and hopefully after Auto Club, it will get even better for us. So stay tuned for that one. Actually coming in just a couple of days. Like I mentioned, we had to run 2 races in this past weekend due to the server outage the week before. So if you guys enjoyed, though, you know what to do. I'd like to thank you all for taking the time out of your day to watch this episode. And of course, would like to say thank you to the Going Racing members on the channel of MJ, Joseph 9001, Timothy Arline, Bubba Jr., Brett Durward, Dark Gengar Gaming, AJ Stewart, Dana 9302, Russell Dixon, as well as Kenneth Barnett. I really appreciate you guys' support so much, as I always say. And once again, thank you for trying to help out this dream of being a full-time content creator in the future come true. So thank you once again, and I'll see you guys all in the next one. Have a great day, everybody.